Christmas! Do you want to learn how to make a beaded ornament? Follow along and bead with me. I think it looks like a beautiful snowflake. Step 1, choose your colors. I wrote down everything, so I wrote down the bead sizes as well as the bead pattern so you can screenshot it. Every time I say repeat quote, I mean once you get here, turn around and go back up this way. I hope that makes sense. If you don't have size 8s and don't want to buy more, that's fine. You could replace the spacers with maybe 2 of the size 11 seed beads. Your pattern might look different if your ornament is smaller or bigger. So this is what I'm using. I got a 3-pack of plastic ornaments from Dollarama, and I wrote the pattern down so mine will all look the same because they're all the same size. So hopefully you don't have to change this pattern. If you have smaller ornaments, I also have a pattern, and this is how it turned out. So feel free to screenshot the pattern. These are size 11 seed beads, so I did 5 beads for the 5 dark green and 1 spacer, which represented the mint green color. Now I have my beads. My needle is threaded. I double threaded it with about an arm's length and a bit, and I did a knot, 5 seed beads, and then 1 spacer. So now that I have 8 spacer beads, I'm gonna come from the bottom and I'm gonna go through all of the seed beads and come down through the first spacer bead. It'll look like this. Now you have the start of the circle, and make sure that it fits over the ornament, and whichever way this thread comes out, that's where the beads are gonna go, and then we're gonna go through this side of the ornament. Make sure you're not going this way. I don't think it'll make much of a difference. I've never done it, so I'm not sure. These are all the beads for row 2. Then we're gonna go up through the spacer bead. One sec, it's hard to watch through my phone. This is the first triangle, and you're gonna want to keep it kind of snug and readjust after each section just so you don't end up with thread showing. So just make sure there's no thread showing, and we're gonna do this all the way around. Yay, you did it! I knew you could. So now we're at the last section, and it's gonna be the same thing for each section. You're gonna go through the next spacer bead, and then you're gonna go through your next row. Oh, one sec, that might happen sometimes. Make sure you don't miss a bead. And then you're gonna go through until you're at the spacer bead at the row below. So when you pull tight. So now my thread is coming out at the row we just completed, and this is the start of row 3, which is going to be repeating the same pattern we did for row 2. So your middle spacer bead is right here. So every point will be this bead, if that makes sense. So just like the first row, we went through the spacer bead. For the second row, we're going to be going through this bead. We're only going through the spacer bead, and that's what it's going to look like. So I learned from my auntie that you can do this while the beads are not on the ornament, and it makes it so much easier doing it this way, I feel. because when you have your beads on the ornament, you're like trying to balance it, and then you're like spinning it and the beads slide all over. So I like to work on it flat like this. Oh, step 4, make a mess. You got this, you can do it. So just like last time, we're gonna go through the spacer bead, go down this row halfway to the next spacer bead so we can move down and start the next row. So now, in case you ever lose count of where you are, 1, 2, 3, this is the start of row 4. This is the first part of row 4. After this, we're going to add this triangle from row 2, and then we're going to do another row of this. So in my notes here, I did this chunk, which is the first part, and then row 2, which is this pattern, then repeat. We're gonna go back and do this again. Don't be scared, don't be confused, you got this. So this is the first loop for row 4. This is the first section. And then right here we did row 2. And then we did the same pattern of the beginning of row 4 up here, and then we're connecting to this spacer bead. Whenever you see the then repeat sign, it just means work your way back through the pattern. Like row 2, I just wrote repeat, work your way backwards. So this is where we are right now. Yay, we're almost done. So I'm running out of thread, so I'm gonna go back up and I'm gonna tie off right here. Make sure when you tie off that everything has good tension and there's no loose thread anywhere. I just did a double knot and then I burnt the excess. So now when I restart, I'm gonna start up here, and then I'm gonna come back down through this bead because that's where I left off. Yeah, we're done row 4. So now we're gonna go through, this is the last loop, we're gonna go through this spacer bead. We're gonna go all the way down through these beads and come out this spacer bead down here. I've gone through all these beads, so now I'm going to pull my needle through. And there we have it, row 5. So for row 5, we are going to repeat the same pattern we did for row 2 and 3. The spacer bead, seed bead, bugle bead, bead, spacer bead. And we're going to connect it right here. So from one spacer to another. So now I'm starting the 6th row and we're going to connect to this center, this spacer. And you're going to put it on the ornament now because now we're going to be closing the bottom. I did the last 2 rows off camera, so we're going to go through the last spacer bead and then we're going to go up and weave our needle through here so we're not tying off right where we finished. We'd give it one last tighten to make sure there's no loose string anywhere, and then double knot. I pulled all the beads tight and now I'm doing a double knot in between 2 beads to hide the knot. We did it! We completed a beaded ornament. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Clicko for watching. Much